Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We review anything and everything. And today we are just taking a look at a preview of things that I'm gonna review a little bit later on. They're all Lego sets, but the thing about it, obviously, we know when it comes to Lego sets that it takes a while to build them. So I wanted to just kind of put out there what I'm gonna be building for future videos because it's gonna take me a while to get through it. And I'm pretty particular about the certain Lego sets that I like to buy. So I'm going to go over what made me buy each one and how it kind of connects in certain ways. Um, First, I just want to make note. I got this stand over here that's going with the Millennium Falcon, that same set. This is the set. Obviously, the set numbers right there, 75257. This is the set that goes with the newer trilogy. And you can use it for the original trilogy to a degree because it has most of the same characters: Chewbacca, um, R2D2, and C3PO in it. The only person you would have to get is a Han Solo. And if you guys remember, way back in the channel, a long while back, I had purchased a single figure Han Solo, which I threw the link in the description on Amazon. All these going to have links in the description for Amazon. And that character was meant to go with the Millennium Falcon when I was going to buy it. Last season, I didn't end up buying the Millennium Falcon around the Black Friday time because the sale wasn't as low as I was hoping it would get. But come fast forward to the May 4th time, there was a sale on it. It was around the same price. Link's going to be in the description because it should be the same price right now for $135. It isn't any lower than it was on Black Friday last year, but I realized at this set might be expiring soon, and I don't think it's going to get any lower than that. So I was like, let me just jump on it. So that's that, and that is geared for my Han Solo. And I'm going to kind of give you an overall where my thoughts are in terms of my collection in general. So most of the sets that I have purchased revolve around the more current, newer time, the Mandalorian time, which takes place after the first trilogy, but somewhere in that ballpark range of the first trilogy, obviously, because you've seen in the second season of Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker in the same form that he was in the original trilogy. So as far as like time frames go, that you could say falls within the original trilogy. Boba Fett is still alive, coming back out of the sandpit. It's pretty much right hand in hand with the original trilogy, with probably really almost no time passing, or at best, at most, maybe 5 years, which is not even a long time. So if you want to wrap up the entire time frame of the original trilogy, which I think the full time span of it takes place in about somewhere between like 2 or 3 years. So if you tacked on, we'll put the Mandalorian's time somewhere in the middle. We'll give it 2 years instead of 5 years. We'll say it's like 2.5 years. If you combine them all, you're looking at probably like about 5 years total. So that's around where my collection primarily was aiming for. Which then you had the Ahsoka show, which I bought the Ghost and I bought her Jedi ship, and then which I reviewed on the channel, and then I had also purchased the original thing I bought was the Armor Marauder, which I didn't keep in that form. I altered it into a ship, but still in my mind, it's going along with the story aspect of it. That Grief Karga turns into a ship. That was where my mindset was with it. But now, I a little while back, I think it was around Black Friday time, holiday season time in general, I purchased the Razor Crest. So that kind of cemented that time frame as one of my major ships for that. Obviously, the Ghost and all that go hand in hand with that because the Mandalorian sees Ahsoka and whatnot. I also purchased the Luke Skywalker that went to the Mandalorian episode where he ends up fighting the Dark Troopers. So that goes hand in hand with that time frame as well. Now, um, those are pretty much the bulk of the sets that were bought previously, revolving around that time frame. Now, the the Millennium Falcon, interesting enough, could be in any time frame because it dates back as far as you could almost say that I would probably say it's as old as the prequels, considering the fact that if you go on the prequels being as old as Anakin was, he pretty much was like 10 in the first one, and then by the ending he probably was, we'll say he was even at best because he was like 18 in episode 2. Episode 3, we'll give it 3 years, even though like I don't know how long the Clone Wars lasted. What was it, 2 years or whatever the case is, but we'll just add 3 years. We'll say he was 23. argument's sake, we'll throw it up even more and say he was 25. From 10 years to 25, that's 15 years. Uh, Han Solo, based on that time frame, the Millennium Falcon probably would have existed somewhere in that time frame. So my point to say that is to say having a Millennium Falcon can cover across from the original trilogy all the way to the Mandalorian time, which we know would have been in the background because the newer trilogy takes place after the Mandalorian. So bear with my rant a little bit. So that set obviously can go to multiple different time frames with that. I have the Obi-Wan's hut from the original trilogy. That has obviously Luke from then, Obi-Wan and whatnot. And that will go hand in hand with the Millennium Falcon with the Han Solo in that time frame, the original trilogy time frame, which is cool. Now, I didn't want to buy a lot of the prequel sets, even though, fun fact, the prequel is my favorite. If I had to go based on the which trilogies was my favorite, the prequels are my favorite. I know a lot of people don't agree with that. I think all. I'm not gonna say all of them. I think the original trilogy and the prequels to me are all great. I think they both go hand in hand. I don't view one without the other. They're all part of the same storyline. The new trilogy, I'm not a fan of at all. But anyway, with that being said, I'm not going to purchase a lot of the original the prequel trilogy set just because it's a lot to kind of jump into with the Clone Wars and this and that, all the other stuff. But I purchased this ship here because one, it's one of my favorite ships. Two, it had a great price on it, and it kind of went into my mindset of okay, so I really just wanted the ship. It was a good deal. It was a good sale. I bought that at the same time as I bought the Yoda's Jedi Starfighter, which Yoda's ship could kind of, because it's Yoda, you could kind of make it part of the original trilogy because it's Yoda. Not that he was flying a ship. Or you could make it during the time of the Clone Wars, which is the time that it was. But these two sets also now play a semi-pivotal part in connecting with the Mandalorian. Why? Because of this set right here, which originally I wasn't planning on getting, but when I realized that I purchased these just about maybe 2 or 3 days before I purchased this, and I saw this one on store shelves actually. Um, Me purchasing this one, this is what connects the Mandalorian and Grogu story with the original prequels. So now this, and I just purchased this set of clone troopers because these are part of the 501st. This is the 501st troopers that are inside this set. So it really was just to add, it was a good sale price on it. The normal price on this $20 is going for $15. Link's going to be description. Hopefully it should still be at the sale price. It was just to add a few more soldiers to this set. That was the main reason why I bought it. I thought it was a good deal. So that way, instead of two soldiers that he's fighting, two clone troopers, he's going to be able to have four of them because when you look back at that clip, obviously it's a longer clip than just 2 seconds, and he's fighting a few clone troopers. So I thought that was kind of cool to go hand in hand with that. But in addition to that, during that same time that was happening, you have Obi-Wan and you have Yoda, who also at that same time, I'm not going to end up getting any other Clone Wars really stuff. I'm not going to really dive into the whole prequel sets, like I said, but these guys were here around the same time that he was here, give or take a couple of minutes. They were crossing paths or got there right at the same time, or maybe he was just leaving when they were arriving. But the point is, or maybe while they were outside fighting the other clone troopers, he was escaping the backdoor area. So either way, it fits because this set makes it all part of the Grogu thing, which is cool. So all four of these sets right here combined to be part of that Grogu segment and ties into that. The Millennium Falcon obviously always in the background between the original prequel and then which, like I said, I consider the original prequel also part of the same time frame as the Mandalorian in terms of just like the spread of it, not happening at the exact moment, but it's within like the Mandalorian fits into the time frame of the original prequels and not the newer prequels because that time frame is way too far in the future, obviously. So with that being said, the Millennium Falcon does fit with the current time frame of the Mandalorian. So that's kind of where my thinking was with all this. Sorry about the rant and the ramble. With that being said, I'm going to get to these. Most likely, I'm going to do this one first because this is a newer set. I know the rest of these have been out for a while. There's a newer set, so I want to review that one and have that one on the channel first. And it should be one that's pretty easy to build. So I'm going to get to that. In the meantime, I want to just take a look at the Millennium Falcon and just give some thoughts I have on that because I actually have some thoughts. Yeah, I have a few thoughts with the Millennium Falcon. So one, it was the ship that I saved for the last of my major large ships. I have the Ghost, which was the first ship I bought, which was in around borderline September 2023. Then, hmm, um, I thought that it was. I don't know if it was actually. Was it a Prime Day? I don't. I'm drawing a blank when I bought when I bought the Razor Crest, but I thought that it was a Black Friday time. I'm thinking that it's not now. I'm not really too sure, but I did a review on that, so you can look at the time frame of the review, and that's when I bought it. And that one I actually got for a really good deal as well. But the Millennium Falcon is the one I waited on for a while. It's the OG. It's and I'm not gonna say whether it's my favorite or not. Which one's my favorite? Because I am gonna do a comparison video of all three of them. These are all the three hero ships, if you want to call them that. Even though the truth is, the Ghost is not the quote unquote hero ship of the Ahsoka show, but it is in terms of the sets that was released, the big star set for that, even though it is the hero ship of the hero ship. I like using that term of Rebels, which I've never seen and whatnot, but that's not the time frame that I'm purchasing based on. So, with that said, I'm still going to count it as obviously it's the big ship of that set that came out. Obviously, when the Mandalorian came out, the big ship of that set was the Razor Crest, and during this time frame for that one, this was the Millennium Falcon. So I'm going to compare all three of them, and I think they all have their pros and cons. Um, One thing I want to say about the Millennium Falcon that I think is great is that the Millennium Falcon, besides for being iconic, is probably one of the only ships, and this is the case with all ships, not even just the three hero ships that I'm referring to, but even the villain ships like Star Destroyers or anything else that's been put out there, any of those Republican ships. Is it a Republic or is it the? I forget what title is what. Sometime with these Star Wars things, I get mixed up. But the Imperial ships. Um, so one thing about the Millennium Falcon is it's got so much space in it because of that pancake design, and it allows it to have so much space while still being rigid, while still being stable. It's not something that's going to fall apart. Where a lot of those other ships, they have to do this whole structural integrity thing in the center with Technic pieces, and then you don't really have a lot of room in it to actually have um, all that kind of having the figures in it and whatnot like that. So that's one thing that makes this ship very impressive is its natural design makes it very good for Lego purposes to build just this very, open interior design for a ship. So that makes it really good. Obviously I was looking at some other channels where people will mod it. I'm going to try to do some mods of my own. Nothing major. Obviously I'm not a major modder. Anyone watching the channel knows that, even though I do a little stuff to interiors when it comes to some of the sets that I purchase. And one thing that's interesting is when you look at the regular design of um, the Millennium Falcon, the in canon design of the Millennium Falcon. Um, you do have the engine area, the hyper or light drive here. I forget what it's called, the proper term, but the light speed engine or hyperdrive engine, I think it's called, is right here. Sorry that I'm getting all my terms mixed up. The hyperdrive engine is right here. Normally, there's a little area for beds. Obviously, they're not going to make all the walls for the little corridors and all this other kind of stuff that would be in it. But essentially, um, this little set here with the whole game and the hollow cron or whatever it's called, the little chess set thing, would be in this corner here, and this would be area where there'd be beds. But the way this is so tight, you really can't do that. I'm going to try to see if I can mod it where I can squeeze it in there and it makes sense. But if it doesn't make sense, then I'm going to try to see if there's anything I could do with that space here. Instead, they put a little crate here that makes it more of like a storage container. So I'm gonna see what. Try to bring this a little closer. I'm gonna see what I could do in that area like that. This is originally storage area and not a food area. I'm glad that they put a little kitchen in it, even though that's not normally on the Millennium Falcon. Why? Because I mentioned this in a previous video when I was reviewing the Ghost ship. I like interior stuff in it that makes you feel like, you know, they're living in it. Like it makes sense for quarters for them to be living. So even though they didn't necessarily have that in the show or the movie, doesn't mean that it didn't exist. Maybe they didn't show it, but I like the idea of that. Just like the Ghost had a sink in it. I thought that was really cool. So, but I may end up moving that because in its normal design, this is a storage area. So I may end up making this where it's a storage area, put some extra containers or something like that there. And then maybe if I can't put move this over here and put beds over here, what I may end up doing is putting the sink and everything over there. Even though it's a small area, it still could fit just those kind of three items. It's like the sink, a table, and that's a seat right there. So maybe I can squeeze that in this corner over here in some way. And then it'll kind of a little bit more make sense that this is like the chill area where you can cook stuff. And then the play area, and this right here will just be a dedicated storage area where I may put crates here and stuff like that. And I don't know, I really do want to put extra beds there, but I'll see what I can do. But I'm going to play around with it and see what I can manage with it. In general, I think the set is amazing just the way it is. Um, so as I mentioned, I'm just looking forward to putting all this stuff together. This link's going to be in the description for this as well. As I mentioned, this right here is a stand um, for the Millennium Falcon. So I just thought that was nice because it puts it at an angle. The angle is going to be coming across just like how this stand is right here. You'd have like it would be sitting vertical like that, like at an angle, and yeah, it will look like it's flying. And I just thought, hey, this was like $23, might as well. And I think it's gonna look nice. So I can't wait to put that together. And with that being said, you guys, I'll catch you guys in the next video.